Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 10 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, April 22nd. So, looking back at yesterday's session, right, we got into some of those single prints that were long and wide below us. The Dow actually, took out the entire set, and the ES and the Nasdaq just kind of, the Nasdaq took a bigger chunk than the ES did, but they both chunked at it. Looking at where the Qs traded yesterday, the Qs basically traded between 428 right down here up to for the bells anyways, uh, 439, just a dollar under this 440 strike. And then, we ended Thursday at 445, right? So we, kind of, and you can see it was that diver down, holding between that first and second standard deviation line down until, the late afternoon when it finally crossed over it, and it just went right to the VWAP for both of the indexes basically, and settled there. So, you know, basically, for lack of better terms, I call that the VWAP close, right? So they just, took it right back up to where it was. If we look at what that did to positioning, right, we had because of that, you know, gap and go yesterday. We had that first 30-minute bar that was down, so we had excess and A on all of the indexes there, and we had single prints uh, on all of the indexes. I might not have noted the Russell, but anyways, they're there on the chart. And then you can see where we are. Overnight, we have rotated back up to above the XS and A lines for most of the indexes as a test, and then we'll get into it. So for today, there's really nothing on the tape. You got a couple of Fed heads, one at 9, one at 9:30. Richmond Manufacturing at 10. And then, API, if you're playing the crude oil, there's going to be a report out at 4:30. And that usually leads to what the Wednesday report is going to, look like. These are almost, usually mirror images of each other. For some reason, there's usually not a big movement in crude from this report. However, you know what the 10:30 tomorrow report is going to be because this one's pretty much telling you. If you're playing crude, watch those two reports, obviously. And then, of course, we have the IMF meetings, meeting, and I didn't even just notice I didn't put down what meetings it was, but we're in day two right now. And then the Dow is oversold. The rest of the indexes haven't reached oversold to this point. And keep in mind, tonight after the bell, we're going to have Tesla. I'm sure it'll move some. It's usually something that you just don't want to be in front of uh, because it's a stop run, and it can be a runner after the double stop run. Um, but they did warn uh, last week on Thursday, I believe it was, and now there's lawsuits being filed that they odometers, right? They're cheating their customers. Uh, uh, their mile on their odometer is not a mile on their odometer. So what they're doing is they're increasing the mileage on the odometer more than you've driven, so they can get out of paying for warranty repairs. That's what the lawsuit accuses them of. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But it's until at this point with Musk, he's probably guilty until proven innocent. So that'll be interesting to see, how that all plays out. If that is indeed what they're doing, that's the end of that company. It'll be just like DeLorean. It'll be gone. So for all you Tesla fans, I hope that's not true. That's what they are doing, because that company's toast if that's what they were cheating on. Um, and then as you look at where we are in positioning, right? Profiles and positioning. So let's get back to TA. We stopped right on this, what we would consider, one of the put walls. You can see for the week, 5,000 is really the put wall. But for yesterday and today, it was 5,100. We stopped right on 5,100 in the cash market yesterday, within a tick or two, basically. So as we look at that, you can see that that's your floor until it breaks. Not saying that it does break, but then you got the 50-50 and the 5,000 right below it. And then this market, that's nothing to do. We are currently the cash market closed yesterday at 51.85 or 51.58, I'm sorry, and then we're up 50 points. So if we open right now, we'd be opening up right around 52.10. Uh, so, we're running away from that floor, and then, we'll just have to see how far we can run. Obviously, these $100 marks, regardless of what positioning shows, are something you should be careful of, and then you should be minorly respectful of the 25s and 50s, 50s more than the 25s. But if we look at the SPY, in the same way, you can see that the SPY has, you know, downside again right at that 500, which would be close to that 5,000 marker on the cash market, and an upside of 525. The SPYs are currently trading 519.11, so that would be basically around 60 ES handles higher than we're trading right now. So the ES is trading 52.34. So you're looking around 52.90 to 52.93 is on the ES is where this 525 is going to come into play, and that's going to be as a day trader. Really, at least on a first test, you should assume that that's going to be resistance and just be covering there. If you're really amped up and you think it's going to blow through it, just have a runner on it and just manage that fairly tightly. But even if we're going to blow through 525, the two scenarios usually are you hit this wall, you bounce back down to another one, and then you consolidate under it and probably gap over it tomorrow's before tomorrow's opening bell, if that is indeed going to be the case. The other scenario is you go right over it, and then you can try to buy right around 525 as support, because that is going to be a major support resistance line for this week, and assume it's going to be resistance above us while we're under it. Looking at the Qs are currently, they closed at 433. We're at 438 right now, so they're up $5, which would be about 200 handles on the NQ, which is right where we're at right now, up 200 points on the NQ. Uh, Again, we're trading 538 right now, so you can see there's not as big of gamma disparities on the Qs as there is on the SPY and the SPX. So those might rule. Sometimes they take turns, right? When the NQ hits resistance or the Qs, right, it pauses the ES. Well, this week, as far as positioning goes, it could be that when the ES hits the resistance or the support, that's really what you've got to watch if you're playing NQ, right? And I've been playing NQ for a year and a half now, mainly, and almost nothing else. But you have to know what to watch, right? Because support is in the market, and we're just playing these indexes as day traders. So long story short, 440 is going to be a little bit of resistance. That's only going to be around 70 points higher than we're currently trading on the NQ. So that'd be around 18,200 is where this would come into play at this 440. And you can see there's room to go past 440 to 442 to 443 and 445 and then 450. I would assume that 450 is the limit to the upside for this week, unless something really crazy happens with the VIX just dropping like a rock. But we have to see if we can get really any progress over this 440 to 443. I can see us, if we can lift over 440 today, I can see us, getting a test of 443 and kind of just bouncing around this 120 point range. And then making a decision into the close, and it could just be a trap or whatever, but that's what it is. Looking at the ES, the untested points of control, yesterday's point of control is 51.8350. Again, we're trading about 50 points higher than that as I speak right now. So any retest to the downside, really what you'd like to see if you're a bull, right? If you're looking for bullish positions, you would like to see a retracement, not trade this point of control. Or if it does trade, not make any 30-minute open and closing bars below that level, because you're just at that point in time you're just be taking out yesterday's low. So what we did yesterday, right, is we swept underneath the low from April 10th and just cleared out stops, right, went back up. There was some Feb work in there Jack was pointing out as well. So a lot of stuff lining up together. I don't think we can get up to 53 quarter today, but you never know. That's the point of control. That's to the upside. And if it's the same deal, if we go up to here and we can't trade the 53 quarter, we miss it by a couple of ticks, and we can't get it, or we can't get opening and closing bars above there, right? That, long story short, this should be your range. We might not hit either point, but 51.83 half to 53 quarter should be where we're playing today. Uh, and what should happen doesn't always happens, but a lot of times it does. Um, so as we look at one time frame, just remember, until we start trading above and holding above yesterday's bell high, we are still one time framing down in balance. The bottom of balance is 16,674 basically for the NQ, and it's 49.40 half for the ES. Overnight action, 83 points basically, and you can see that basically you have a little bit of a bear trap potentially. So these uh, markers, right? Remember, there's bears trapped under these boxes that I drew on the chart for today. And if we look at it and these XS and A lines, and the reason I put the XS and A lines on is because you really have to be careful. I don't care what your technical analysis, you really have to be careful shorting and taking shorts above there, because there's strong position that you're on the wrong side of the tape at that point. I would really rather, and it's not great trade location. I'd rather short if this line falls on a retracement back up than I would like to take a short over that line, right? That's just if you don't want to get long or look for longs up in here because you think it's going to roll over, which it entirely could, right? You can just sit on your hands. You don't need to be the hero and try to trade short in here, because we can. There is lots of room to the upside if that is indeed the direction that is in play right now. Uh, so I'm going to leave it there. You guys have a great day. We'll see what Jack's looking at, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.